Welcome to the Unbroken Arrows podcast, the Thanksgiving edition. I'm Greg.
And I'm Catherine.
And we really don't have a script today.
No.
We are just going to kind of have a conversation about different things that have been going on and things that are going to be happening in the future, I guess. So anyway, and it's been a while since Catherine and I have just sat down and talked about nothing, to quote a Seinfeld episode. That's what the show is all about, nothing. And maybe that's a good segue to what our podcast is all about. But no.
Nothing.
Nothing. I hope that's not the case.
The podcast episode title, nothing.
Well, so anyway, we've had, let's see, well, I think we recorded 4 or 5 podcasts to kind of get ahead of the game because we were really going week to week. And it's been several weeks now since we actually sat down and recorded anything. Mm-hmm. And I, just to prove the point, I forgot which button to push to start the podcast. So there we are. But, so how have you been, Catherine?
I have been good. Busy hunting.
Yep. And how's the hunting been going?
It's been going. Deer hunting so far, I'm still unsuccessful. I joke that this is the year of me being a guide because it seems like everyone I go with shoots something, but
well, Teresa did.
Teresa shot one.
Teresa.
Nate got his out west. I took Nate back out. Well, I took Nate more or less. Mm-hmm. Back out this last weekend for East River rifle opener, and he shot one. Yeah.
So how's the pheasant hunting going?
Pheasant hunting has also, compared to what it has been, it's been a little bit slower, but that's also just because we haven't hunted with a big group yet this year. Like Greg joked, he's like, I thought you kids only ever shot limits, but this year you're not shooting as many. Like, yeah, but we're also hunting with, 5 to 10 people versus 15 to 20 people.
But what about numbers that you've seen even in the smaller groups that you're in? Have you seen a lot of birds that you just didn't get an opportunity because you didn't have enough blockers or what?
Yeah. It's kind of depend. Yes and no. Some places we're like, wow, like just where are the birds? It was also, and it was a weird year because there were still so many crops in that first weekend that we hunted. Mm-hmm. So that like the birds were just staying in the cornfields. They weren't in the grass or the sloughs. But there has been definitely enough times that there just hasn't been enough people and they're busting out the ends or out the sides. And just nobody's really getting a shot at them.
Well, that's good for pheasant numbers
for
the
everyone
future.
Else.
Yeah, for everyone else. But
what about you, Greg? How's hunting gone for you?
as you look over your microphone and laugh at me, I haven't hunted, and that's why you're asking me that question. Let's see. I guess I did go out a couple of times looking for squirrels.
And you forgot.
And one time I did forget my shells, so I had to stop at a Baumgar store at a small town outside of Sioux Falls and pick up a box of shells. I did remember everything else, though. But, I was disappointed because this fall I really wanted to... I've been searching for box elder trees, and I think I mentioned that on a previous podcast because I have box elder mushrooms, doing a little foraging, and box elder mushrooms are my favorite. And it stopped raining, just period. It's so dry that and I haven't been able to get out that much even to look for that. Your mom had knee surgery, so that had a little bit of something to do with my availability. But I have a place to hunt deer and I have an archery tag, but I have not even gotten to the point to go out even once.
When you were looking for squirrels, you went down by like Newton Hills, right?
Yeah.
Did you ever find any dead deer?
I did not.
It might have been a little early. Apparently, EHG has been really bad south of Sioux Falls area.
That's what Nate was just saying. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's interesting, and I wonder if, the flow of that, because, let's see, 2 years ago maybe, at least 2 years ago, the deer population really took a hit in northeast Nebraska, and I didn't see anything in the news about it. But one of the landowners, farmers that I talked to, that's what he said, was that the EHD was really, really bad, and I think some of the tells on that is to find deer near water because they drink a lot.
Well, it's like the midges in the water, which apparently when it's drier can make it worse too, because then like all the water level goes down, and this is where, like, I don't know. This could be hearsay for all I know. I'm
You're treading into the science area, and
I haven't done enough research, but supposedly what I've been told is that when it's drier, water levels go down, and then there's more eggs that get hatched for whatever reason.
Okay.
And then these midges like bite the deer, and that's how they get it. But it's in the water, so when they're drinking, they end up getting it from there. And then that's also part of it is I don't know if they get thirsty or if it's kind of like when deer get gut shot, you can find them by water a lot. I don't know why. I don't know what the correlation is, but that's a thing.
Well, I think I might be having an update, in the weeks to come, just to verify some of these things, because
we'll actually research it.
Yeah, I think that I guess I always thought that once a deer was infected, one of the traits or one of the symptoms, so to speak, is that it just can't quench its thirst.
Could be.
So
I do know that they usually get bit when they're drinking, though.
Well, and I'm also assuming that midges, probably part of their reproduction cycle is like mosquitoes, that they hatch in water.
Yeah.
The eggs hatch in water. So I think that's probably the big correlation between water and deer populations getting infected. But there's something about drinking. So
Yeah, but even I know of a couple counties that GFP offered people to, if they turn their tags in, they'll get their money back, because they're like, we just don't, there's not enough deer for the amount of tags we gave out.
Really? Mm-hmm. Is that like something that happens often, or?
I think it happened a couple years ago when the antelope numbers went down a lot.
Okay.
But I don't know. I couldn't tell you. This is the first time I've heard of it with deer, but it could happen before.
Mm-hmm. Funny you mentioned antelope, because it's one of the things that I was reading about. I think it was after you and Nate went west, and I think we are more appropriate by referring to them as pronghorn.
That's true.
Not antelope.
They're not antelope.
They're not antelope. So.
But the tag says antelope. So.
Yeah, I know. So that's kind of confusing, but
it's a species of antelope, isn't it? Like it's a subspecies of antelope.
Again,
Maybe
I'm not so sure about that. So, folks, stay tuned. There's two things now that we will do a little bit of research on and talk more about later on. But
Mom. Sorry to interrupt. Mom. I don't know what we were talking about the other day, but she's like, you want to know what I learned? I was like, sure. She's like, what's the biggest deer species? Like, what's the biggest? And I was like, is this a trick question? Like, is it something I'm going to know? Is it in Africa? And she's like, no, not in Africa. I was like, is it a moose? And she's like, yeah. She's like, how'd you know that? I didn't think moose were a deer species. Mm-hmm. And I was like, yeah, they are.
Well, a plug for Meat Eater Trivia, because your mom and I, and you've got in on a couple of rounds of that. We listen to it quite often when we're traveling. And it's kind of fun to learn some of those kinds of things, but I think I got it right.
Did you?
Yeah, I think so.
Moose are huge. I don't think people realize how big
I would agree.
Moose are.
I've ever told you this story. My uncle, my aunt, and my uncle, my dad's sister, she was my Aunt Leatrice, and her husband, Uncle Russell, and he was in the lumber industry. And they spent most of their time in Medford, Oregon, a little bit of time down in, Prescott, Arizona, and then spent some time in Alaska. And she said that they would have moose alerts in the wintertime when the snow would get so deep that the moose couldn't even find, or had a hard time finding food in the wild. And I said, why? why is that such an issue? Well, she said two reasons. One, they're mean.
Yeah, they're super mean.
And people think that they're, oh, it's a moose.
It's like a deer. And
yeah.
They're just cuddly.
And they're nasty. And the other thing was that at that time, one of the most prevalent cars that people drove in that area were Volkswagen Beetles.
Yeah, there's a lot of them in Alaska.
Because the engine's in the rear, and so that's added traction. So the drive train, is in back, and so they're easy. It's easier to get around. But the problem is, moose. People don't understand that moose are so tall, and they
drive under them.
They have such long legs. Exactly right. They drive, and when they would hit one, the moose would flip literally into the driver, or the driver and the passenger.
Oh, geez.
And very high incident of, people getting really badly injured or dying from a car accident by hitting a moose in a Volkswagen Beetle. That sounds.
I do remember there being a lot of slug bugs, as we called them in Alaska.
Do I recall that? How would I recall that?
I said I recall.
Oh, you were okay.
Did I say you remember?
I thought you said, do you recall?
No, I thought I said I do remember.
Oh, I do recall.
I guess I don't know if I actually remember it or if I've just heard it so many times.
Sure. Yeah, I know. That was one of the not more interesting stories, but I remember at a very early age her telling me that story, and I haven't forgotten it. So
yeah, makes sense. Have you heard Mom's story about when she chased a moose? She just recently told me this, and I was like, Mother, you are insane.
Well, let's fill in everybody on this story.
And I think they were in Montana elk hunting. It was my mom and dad, and she had said that she was getting really annoyed because they had been hunting like hard for 5 days, and they haven't seen a single elk, but they could find, it was always moose. There's moose everywhere. And then she was saying that they went up, had hunted basically all day, was hiking back to wherever their vehicles were or whatever, and there's 2 or 3 moose just basically standing next to their cars. And she was so annoyed that she just took off and started running at them.
Oh,
and she's like, they ran away or whatever, and it wasn't until after that the guides had told me, because it was they take you and drop you off and say you go hunt here, so it's not like the guides were with them. I don't think. And they were like, that is crazy. And then she ended up getting some nickname. It was
can I make some up?
It was something. It was something bitch moose chaser or something. And she's like, yeah, and that was just my nickname. That's what they called me.
No, I don't think I've heard that story. So I'm going to have to go to the source now and hear that.
She told me this a week ago. I was like, how have I never heard this story before?
Well, somehow maybe the moose connection to the biggest deer, was that the
I think that's how it
tie-in?
I think it is how that came up. And I think we were talking about how I wanted to go elk hunting. So then she was talking about elk hunting and then how they saw a bunch of moose and But
the up above and to your left, I see some pheasant feathers in a wreath here, and that reminds me that I asked you to get some pheasant feathers when you went hunting.
Yeah, Zach called dibs on them because they're going to use them in the wedding.
Oh.
So Zach and Janie took them all.
Okay, Zach, Janie, I suppose that is a good excuse. Our Christmas tree will wait.
I've got a pile of them downstairs. Okay. I just want them back when you're done. Don't throw them away.
Speaking of this year's Christmas tree, we are...
Speaking of Thanksgiving.
Yes. No, speaking of Christmas trees.
Oh, yeah, same thing. Same difference.
Speaking of Christmas trees...
Greg had to fact check this, so I'm not sure what's going on here.
Okay.
But
well, I did, and while I was fact checking that, you went back to EHD, and you've got some information that you can share too. So why don't you do that first?
I did Google it to make sure I wasn't spewing lies, and I think Greg might have misunderstood what I was saying, so I'm going to clear that up too. The deer don't get EHD from drinking the water. The midges, or the bugs, or the no-see-ums, whatever you want to call them, hatch in the water, so that's where a lot of times these deer get bit.
Okay.
And it doesn't spread deer to deer, like deer to human or anything. They have to get bit by this bug. Mm-hmm. But then, symptoms of it are your loss of they don't fear humans anymore. The fever, which Greg was saying, is when they like drink a lot of water, which is why you find them dead by water a lot. What else?
I think you said blood in the feces.
Oh yeah.
And
Increased respiration rate,
Right.
salivation,
right.
excessive. Yeah. So, and then I was saying that someone I know has found 10 to 15 dead deer. And he's got a video. He came up on one he thought was dead and was just going to look at it. And he's got a video of it, and it's just laying there, and it's blinking. That's the only reason you can see that it's still alive. Because it's just open and closing its eyes.
That's sad.
It is sad.
Well, I think that EHD, and you hear about that more now. I do. I can't say that it's more prevalent, but I hear of that more now than I do of CWD.
It depends on what area you're in.
I was just going to say that. Yeah, it all depends on where you're at, because there are different areas that have different diseases that are more prevalent. So
I think further east there's more CWD, like Wisconsin.
Right. And I'd like to know, I've heard on several different podcasts and some radio programs that talk about the outdoors about deer farms. And I'd like to know whether or not are those deer farms that raise deer like
Trophy,
is that what it is, or is it
don't know.
do they raise deer for
like urine.
I will finish my sentence
Sorry.
at some point in time here, folks. But like cattle, farmers raise cattle to butcher to sell the meat. Is it
That's
that
an
what it
option as
is,
well.
or I just don't know what a
There's
deer
a lot.
farm is.
Yeah.
Need to find out
There's
from a deer farmer.
a lot of different deer farms.
Well,
Like you've got your high fence deer farms that people are like breeding big deer to sell them for thousands of dollars so people can come in and shoot them. And then you've got
these are on large pieces of land that but the deer
yes
are trapped
and-
in the
yeah,
high
it's
fence.
it's a high fence, and they like specifically will breed different deer to figure out what the best genetics are, and basically just breed really big deer.
Okay,
There's one out by like Howard, South Dakota,
Okay.
that you can even shoot an elk like an hour from Sioux Falls. You just have to pay like
A lot of money.
$7,000. And then it depends on how big the deer is. They have different like tiers. So if you shoot a 200-inch deer, it's maybe $8,000. If you shoot a 250-inch deer, it's I don't know. I'm making up numbers, but
I could tell.
it's close. You'd be surprised how much people will pay to do that, which I don't know. You do you.
I think that the jury's out on that. I think maybe.
That's
but
like
I don't think I really want to.
Texas is pretty much all like high fence stuff. From the
No.
way I understand it, for like deer hunting,
Really?
because then they have like the axis too, and different exotics.
Oh, exotics. Yeah, I knew on the exotics where they have the farm or the exotics, they're oftentimes very large acreage farms, high fence, and you can go in and do that. But
If I had to guess, it's a large amount that's either high fence or some sort of like lease.
I wonder what the draw is to that being a, small town kid from Nebraska. Is that to do that instead of like the axis deer wherever they're found? Africa? Is it cheaper than going to Africa or wherever they are found? I don't know.
You can go to Hawaii too. I think Hawaii would be cool because there's like certain islands that they have them on, and then you just hunt the whole island.
Well, and Hawaii has a problem with some of those species that are just getting overpopulated, and they're really they are a nuisance.
Isn't it chickens? Don't they have a bunch of chickens?
Well, yes, they
that
do.
just
and
like roam everywhere.
Yeah, they're like street gangs. Yeah. I've got a story to that. When I went out to meet up with my daughter Sydney for the Tiger Cruise. I'm lying in the hotel room in the morning, and all of a sudden I hear this, what I think is a rooster crow, and it's like, oh man, what am I dreaming, And all of a sudden I hear it again, and I go out on the patio from the hotel room. There's these roosters all over the place. Now they're like the ornamental chickens, they're not just like the white chickens you see, driving down the road in the trucks or those kinds of things going from one place to the next. They've got the really fancy, colors and really, bushy, or not bushy, but ornate tail feathers and things like that. But yeah, there's chickens everywhere. But
the other deer farms then, like you said, if they're like butchering deer, they're raising deer for people to hunt, or like Mrs. Dopey is the one that we carry, that they raise deer and then collect its urine and bottle it and sell it.
By we carry, she's referring to
Shields.
that she works at Shields, not that we.
Yeah, we just stock it all the time.
We stock it here at the
Mom's
house.
actually not happy that I have some in the fridge right now.
Yeah,
She's like, I can't believe you.
We've been careful with that, so.
It's closed. It's a closed bottle.
Yeah. So let's see. I was talking about a Christmas tree.
Yeah.
And what we're going to do with our Christmas tree this year, and it was inspired by, and that's what I needed to fact check, was an event at Good Earth State Park, which I'm going to make another plug now for state parks. During this time of year, there are a lot of activities that are going on. Go outside. There's going to be, I don't know how many, but maybe every state park, or many of them, have a first hike on January 1st. Activities for people to get outside and with maybe a New Year's resolution to get outside. But last year, your mom and I and Teresa went out to Good Earth because they had holiday trees display, and different organizations or sponsors would decorate a tree. And so different businesses and corporate type businesses from around the area set up a tree, and of course it has a theme that usually goes along with them. But anyway, one of them was really nature focused. So what your mom and I decided to do this year was that we collected pine cones from your aunt and uncle, her aunt and uncle, I guess it is, right?
That's what that big box was, right? That fire pit box.
Well, yeah, but the funny thing is that we brought back like 4 grocery bags full, and then they brought that box back. We have enough pine cones for, everybody in southeastern Sioux Falls right now. Not anymore, but we did. But anyway, back to the Christmas tree. They are doing that again out at Good Earth. It's they're actually having a holiday tree display set up from December 1st through January 6th, but on Saturday the 7th from 5 to 7, you could go out and look at the trees. Santa will be there. There's going to be music and more, it says.
Now, Greg, can anybody put a tree out?
I don't know.
Or do you have to sign up?
I think you'd have to sign up. So if you have questions about that, contact Good Earth State Park, and you can Google that and go to gfp.sd.gov and look that up. But and again, one of the things that I do want to emphasize with regard to our local state parks is that they have different types of programs, again, specific to Good Earth. Little Acorns, which is for the little tykes, obviously. And they've got programs. It looks like a monthly program for them. And one that I went to a couple of times last year, it's Good Earth State Park FISH, acronym FISH. And you're going to get a kick out of this, Catherine, because this is why I like going.
It's like something for old people.
Man, be careful how you talk, young lady. Friendly, interactive, senior.
There it is.
What's that last word? I can't.
Can't read it. You have to put your bifocals on.
That's enough, young lady. Go to your room.
Go to my room.
Okay. See, ladies and gentlemen, you enjoy the fact that she just absolutely tears me down.
I do not.
Yeah.
I do not.
And
don't make me sound evil.
Just a second, I'm crying now.
Yeah, I'm
Let
sure
me get
you
my
are.
tears out of my eyes first. And then another type of program, they have a Thursday talk series, 7 p.m. on Thursday nights. And the next one is biomimicry. Catherine, what is biomimicry?
That is when animals or plants pretend to be other animals and plants. Do plants count too? I just threw that in there because I
Well,
felt like it. I feel like it's more animals.
I think it is more animals, yes. But biomimicry can be because,
I feel like
well, I'd have to.
there's
I'm trying to
plant
think of a plant right now that.
that looks like a different plant that might be poisonous, but this one's not poisonous.
Yeah,
Or what about like the fly trap things?
the
When they
Venus
like
flytrap.
sit there with their mouths open to look like just a
Yeah,
flower.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know. I'm making things up.
Again,
That was impressive
You're
though.
good
You
at
didn't
that,
think
yeah.
I was gonna get that right.
no, you didn't. I didn't. But so anyway, fly tying basics.
That one would be cool. Is this like how to tie the actual fly or how to tie the fly onto the line? Or a little of both?
That's an excellent question. But
Because
these are
there's
the
a
actual
lot,
ties.
it is.
Yeah.
I say there's a lot of different knots to tie flies on.
That's true. And through my talking with the people at the Casting for Recovery, and then a friend of ours on the podcast, Jason Nelson from the South Dakota Game Fish and Parks. Everybody that I've talked to said that everything that you see, whether it's like a river run through it, the movie,
I love that movie.
or I love the movie too, but everybody,
Isn't that Brad Pitt?
that's why you love it. I like the scenery. You like because Brad Pitt.
That
was in
movie doesn't really have like a plot though. It's just Brad Pitt fly fishing.
it. That's because you were just watching. Boy, it has a very good plot, Catherine. You need to watch it
He
again.
dies, doesn't he?
I don't remember. It's been
I'm pretty sure he
30
dies.
or 40 years. Well,
It's like there's
He
a bar
ages.
fight and he dies.
well,
I was
folks, we don't know for sure exactly. Catherine's
3-hour
memory sometimes is rather suspect when it comes to
for a
events.
3-hour movie. There just wasn't very much action. I loved the movie. I thought it was a great movie, but
Yeah, I think that you had to have been pretty young when you watched it, I think.
Juliana and I watched it at the lake cabin a couple of years ago
Okay.
in our annual trip.
Back to my point
Sorry.
with fly tying and fly fishing is that nearly everybody that I've talked to said that all of the things that people normally see and associate with fly fishing, they seem to make it intimidating. And it's really not.
It's hard.
Well, to learn how to cast like somebody in that
Oh,
movie,
okay.
yes, that's very difficult to do. But they're talking about, fish are not the smartest things in the world. And if you think you have to tie a perfect fly, you're wrong. I
Okay,
went to
that's
one of
fair.
those. I went to one of those workshops a while back, and just to kind of observe. And a guy sat me down and helped me tie my first fly. And I said something like that. I said, "This really isn't too impressive." And he said, "Just remember, fish have little brains, and
Pea-sized brains.
pretty much, bite on anything." So that's
Kind of like turkeys.
well.
Except they always aren't smart you. No, but
See what I have to deal with, people.
no, I meant in general. They outsmart me too.
I would love to have some kind of support. Anybody that just would send an email saying, "Greg, stick in there, stay with it."
You took that personally, and I didn't mean for it to be personal.
They keep outsmarting
was-
you.
that
How
was
else
your-
can I take that?
It was a general statement. No, but I've fly fished before, and it's difficult.
Well, I'm not saying that it's not difficult. It's not the same as bait casting or your little
I also
Zebco
can't use a
202.
bait caster. I've learned that the hard way.
Well,
I've tried.
anyway, I think that, like my brother Terry, there's a trout stream in northeast Nebraska. The Verdigris Creek at its source is near Grove Lake. But it's a narrow stream, and you can't really, cast like you would in a normal situation. But he uses his fly rod, and he catches nice trout all the time.
I'd like to do more of that. The only time I did it was when we were in Colorado.
We have some of that trout in the freezer of his smoked trout.
Oh.
It's good.
I'll take your word for it.
You don't want to try it?
Maybe I'll try it. Is it already cooked?
It's smoked.
So it's just like frozen,
Yeah.
smoked,
Smoked.
like jerky?
Frozen. Well, it's got the flavor of
Or
jerky
do
because
you-
it's smoked.
Right, but you would still like warm it up.
You could eat it cold.
Ooh, I don't know
Mix
how I
it
feel
up.
about cold fish.
Mix it up with like cream cheese and make it into a dip. Oh yeah.
Gosh, I don't know. I'd try it. I just don't really like the taste of fish. If it tastes like fish,
We're having fish tacos on Wednesday. Do you
that's
know
fine.
that? Okay.
Fried, like how
Yeah.
Grandpa makes fish.
Yeah.
It's basically chicken.
Well, okay.
It doesn't taste.
Bill, no
fishy.
offense. I've made fish several times here for fish tacos, and have you eaten them?
Fried. How else are you making the fish?
Well, he now has
You're
gone-
battering it and frying.
He has we douse it in flour. He even douses it in flour. He doesn't make a batter.
Right. Okay.
Yeah,
But it's got some sort of
coating on it.
coating, and then it's fried.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's fine.
but
And I
Were
like
you-
Grandpa's where he does like the
On the-
skin on with the walleye.
okay.
But I just
What about the flat top? Have you ever had it off the flat top?
I don't know.
That's what he's into right now with fish. Butter on the flat top, no coating.
Don't know if I ever had that.
Well, I'll have to maybe make something that way.
Maybe.
So
I don't really like seafood though either. Just like that fishy taste.
I'm sorry. I really am.
Crab, lobster, not a fan.
I tell
Tuna,
you. Oh, tuna.
salmon.
I need to get to
you
San
always
Diego
have those
soon.
salmon patties.
Yeah, they're delicious.
No, I don't like those.
Catherine. Let's see. Okay, so Christmas tree, I'm looking forward to that.
So what all are you putting on it?
Right now we made,
Just pine cones. It's gonna look like a real tree.
again, I will be able to finish my sentence soon.
Sorry.
It will actually listen to or look like a real tree. I cut down a tree and saved some of the branches, and we cut cross sections of those. It was a pine tree, and your mom took like little wooden balls that looked like cranberries. So we made a couple of big garlands with those. We have purchased a few different ornaments that have the outdoor theme to them. Your mom made pine cones. The pine cones, we took some things from Hobby Lobby and cut like the evergreen branches off of that, and she glued them on, and then like little red holly berries that are attached to that, glued those together. And some of them she painted with the chalk paint, so it looks like they've got snow on them. So,
Cool.
and
Do you have some birch trees too? I thought there was some birch something or other in the garage. What's that for?
right, that's for like a display out in the front
Gotcha.
porch. Speaking of which, I was supposed to work on cutting some logs today, and I forgot.
Whoops.
So hopefully by the first part of December that will be done, or maybe later today, depending upon what your mom says. So anyway, this is Thanksgiving. This is actually going to be published on Thanksgiving Day, and Thanksgiving, October and November have, since I was a young boy, a wee little lad, no, October and November.
What?
You've never heard that? Anyway,
I've heard that.
you haven't heard me say that, huh?
No.
Anyway, October and November have always been my favorite months. Fall is probably my favorite season. Thanksgiving was always a time growing up. When I was growing up, it was a time that at some time or point over the weekend, all the family would get together, cousins and stuff like that, and we have this huge field below the house that we grew up in, and we'd go down and play football. And as we got older, one of the traditions that we would follow is that oftentimes we would go hunting in the morning. And of course, that was before we grew up and had to do all the cooking and those kinds of things. So most recently, actually, my brother Pete and brother Terry and I think it was the first year I met your mom, I had Thanksgiving with my mom and Terry at their place, but Pete and I went out, kinda, Pete, Terry, and I kind of went hunting. We walked through some fields. I had a gun. Neither
You
of them.
went for a walk
Well,
with a gun.
yeah, kind of. But
Fair enough.
we went out and walked a field, and they're both what are the R3 initiative? It's retain,
Revive,
revive,
renew, reduce,
no,
reuse,
that's-
recycle.
No, for the R3, it's
I don't know. You're the one that always says it.
yeah. Recruit, retain, and renew.
Revive.
And I'm in that category where, getting back into all those things that I used to do when I was much younger. And both of those brothers are in that same boat. So that was kind of one of the first things that they wanted to do. So
Have you ever heard the saying that guys hunt because it'd be weird if they went for a walk together without killing something? You just
no,
like,
I-
hey,
no, I-
want to go out
no,
for
I
a
haven't.
walk?
yeah,
Or they're like, there's
Bro.
one with the duck hunting. They're like, guys hunt because it'd be weird if they went and sat in a boat on a lake together for hours at a time and didn't kill anything. It'd feel too much like a date.
interesting. No, I've never heard those things before. So interesting. Okay. So Thanksgiving.
Yes, Thanksgiving.
I think broke a family tradition on the Peters side of the family, because I asked if we could host Thanksgiving here at our house, and I think if you could all see the face that Catherine's making right now, but I think that you're not even going to be here, are you?
I'm not gonna be here.
Yeah, see, so
I'll be here for a little bit
as you
at the
get
end.
as you get older, those things happen.
Yeah.
Going to Nate's families, right?
Yeah.
So, anyway, I asked if we could host Thanksgiving just because I like to cook, and Thanksgiving is one of those meals that it's kind of hard to mess up. So I think I should be okay. And your mom's offered to do some things too, so that's going to be fun. We're going to do it together.
It's impressive.
Yeah.
I don't like cooking, so.
Every once in a while, Catherine, you render me speechless.
I've been better about cooking lately. I've
Yeah.
cooked a couple times.
Yeah, but are you going to learn to love to cook, or you're just going to cook to survive?
Cook to survive.
See, that's what your mom always says too. I love to try different things and new flavors and things like that, and she's like, I cook to survive. And
I
it's
just
like,
cook because I
that's-
have to.
You have to. I think that's so sad.
Well, and
Food
it depends.
is so
It
wonderful.
depends too. I think if I just had more time, I wouldn't mind cooking, but it's a time commitment to some extent.
To some extent.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a time commitment.
Right, not everything though. Some things you can throw together in like 15 minutes, which is why I love to make tacos and spaghetti, because it's quick and easy.
But
If I had
depending on how
time-
you make it.
Well, yeah, okay. The way I make it, it's quick and easy.
Mm-hmm.
If I had just time, I think I would enjoy it more.
Okay.
Because I like finding recipes, and then I just send them to Greg.
Well, you have a point there, because since I have more time on my hands since I'm retired, I do enjoy cooking more. So I think maybe you're onto something there, kid. So
Yeah, so I think it's definitely grown on me more since I've gotten a little bit older.
okay.
But I still, if I had to choose, I would let anybody else cook.
Well, just understand that whenever you do cook, it's appreciated.
I know, you always say that.
But Nate's a cook.
Nate can grill.
Wow. Dum, 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 dum. Folks, that was Nate getting run over by the bus.
No, he can do meat.
Okay.
That's if you want size. I think it's a man thing, like a bachelor,
Well,
like
AJ said that the other
20-year-old
day.
man thing.
Yeah, AJ said that the other day. He said Mackenzie cooks, but like when it comes to wild game, he cooks. It's like, okay, if you always cook for wild game, substitute chicken for dove or chicken for the pheasant for chicken, or
No, and Nate's is like any meat. Like if you want meat, he would make a steak, and that's it. Where I'm like, all right, let's like have asparagus or like potatoes with it, or even French fries.
Well, but that's a pretty good combination if he
Right.
cooks the meat. And
But a
make
lot of
the
times
asparagus.
he'll just be like, "Yep, we're having steak." I'm like, "Sounds good." Just a slab of steak.
Good protein.
Carnivore diet.
It's okay.
Or wings. Like if we have wings, it's usually just wings, unless we happen to do like French fries or something.
My sons are that way. They will buy like a truckload of wings, and then they make their own sauces. I mean, hats off to them, and they're really really good, and they're really really good at it. And they either use the Traeger, the air fryer, all those other kinds of things, and some of them are dry and some of them are wet, and they do a really really nice job. But I'm not exaggerating when I say a truckload. It's like, okay, back up the truck. We've got 2 cases of wings.
Yeah, I don't think Nate's made pasta once, and that's because I asked him if he could just like boil the noodles, and he made the entire box of noodles. Like, we did not need this many. Should have specified how many noodles I wanted.
Well, I think that you need to just help out in the kitchen a little bit more.
I do. I've gotten better. Don't scowl at me.
Well, I mean, cooking.
Greg's making faces.
Yeah, well, you've been calling me old and stuff, so a face is a lot less intrusive than.
I made chicken bacon ranch sliders the other day when you guys weren't here, and I cooked the chicken all by myself. I did it in the oven because I didn't want to do it on the stove, but it turned out really good.
Well, some of the things then that you're cooking, then it's kind of like Bigfoot, because people talk about Bigfoot. Now you're talking about chicken bacon ranch
Ask
sliders.
Teresa. Teresa was there. She
Who
liked
made
them.
the bacon?
I made the bacon. Yeah, I made the bacon in the oven.
Really?
Also because I didn't want grease splatter. You asked Teresa.
Okay.
I mean, and it was I didn't realize they weren't chicken breasts. They were chicken thighs. So that threw me for a loop when there was bones. But we figured it
You
out.
figured it out? Well, that's good. You had a little bit of you had to, audible, as they would say. You had to.
I definitely didn't do it in the way that you would have done it, but we don't have to talk about that.
We're going to talk about that. Okay. Well, so what about you and Thanksgiving? Do you like Thanksgiving or this time of year as a whole, other than just you're a hunter?
I don't know. Thanksgiving, if I had to list all the holidays, like my bottom 2 would be like Valentine's Day and Thanksgiving.
Okay.
Yeah, if one year we were like, we're just not going to do Thanksgiving anymore, I'd be like, okay.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, my.
I never really cared for the traditional Thanksgiving dinner anyways. And so it was just a day off of school.
Wow. I'm learning so much today.
Yeah. Same though, I love the holiday of Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
I hate Christmas Day.
Why?
Just because there's always so much like pressure on it.
Like what kind of pressure?
Well, just where's everyone gonna go? Even growing up, it was like, whose house do we go to? Who's cooking
Yeah.
what? Like, what are we bringing? What presents are people buying? How
Yeah.
much money do I have to spend on different things? If we just did pizzas, frozen pizzas, and played games, that'd be amazing.
A lot less pressure. You've got some valid points there. I because it's about spending time with family and friends and those kinds of things. So it should be. Well, we've really lost focus of those things, because think of when you start seeing Christmas decorations in the store, like
Oh yeah,
Halloween.
yeah, it's crazy.
So anyway, one bone of contention or point of contention, bone to pick, would be I don't count Valentine's Day as a holiday. In my book, you've got Thanksgiving, Christmas. I'll go with New Year's as a holiday. 4th of July.
4th of July, that's my favorite holiday.
Well, but beyond Easter. Okay.
Easter.
So I may be missing something, but
St. Patrick's Day,
that's
not a holiday.
no.
Valentine's Day is not a holiday.
No.
Halloween's not a holiday.
No, I don't view those as holidays. And I know that Memorial Day is the official kickoff to like summer and those kinds of things.
I
but
wouldn't call that a holiday.
and I have a problem when people tell me Happy Memorial Day or something like that. It's kind of like Happy Good Friday. It's like, but those are the kinds of things that I definitely, want to honor, like Memorial Day, for what it is, what its purpose is, to remember those that have, fought for what the freedoms that we have, and honor the fact that they have gone either in battle or after that. And Veterans Day, we just had Veterans Day on November 11th. So thank you for your service to all of those that served and are serving. And what else?
I think you covered it.
I think I covered the Memorial Day and Veteran Day.
Mm-hmm.
Tribute to those in service and those that have served, those that have given their all for the freedoms that we have.
So very patriotic of you.
Like our chicken fried.
Cold beer on a Friday night.
There you go. Speaking of cold beer on a Friday night, we have a special birthday coming up here, don't we?
Oh, yeah, we do.
Yeah, somebody's going to have a big birthday, but we're not going to say anything more about that.
No.
Till later.
Why?
Just because.
Okay, works for me.
We're just going to wait on that. Let's see. What else? Thanksgiving. I'm really surprised, though, that you just,
It's pretty, I just don't really care. What's the word for that?
You're indifferent.
Thank you. Indifferent to it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, then. I said that my favorite months historically have been October, November. My life experiences here as the last 5 years have kind of shaken that a little bit, but with you,
One of my favorite months.
Yeah, without thinking,
I have no idea.
No.
I love warm weather.
Well, you said 4th of July, so.
I said 4th of July is my favorite holiday. I love warm weather. I love being at the lake. I love fishing, but I really like hunting too. So I think if I had to pick a month, it'd probably be like September because it's still warm, but you can hunt.
Mm-hmm.
You've got deer hunting, you have dove hunting, antelope opens.
Pronghorn.
Yeah, whatever. Know it all.
I'm just trying to be accurate.
Elk opens in a lot of places, but it's still warm.
Mm-hmm. Well,
I hate being cold. It's like the worst.
Yeah.
Which I don't get cold super easily either, but I hate being cold.
Last thing I heard, you were going out hunting this morning, and someone decided to sleep in.
Actually, I got up, was pretty much had gotten ready, like had most of my clothes on, went to grab my heavy stuff, and realized that it was still wet.
Ooh.
I had pulled it out of the dryer last night and just assumed it was dry. Didn't really look that deep into it, and it was not. So I thought, I even woke up it was half an hour before my alarm went off and was just said, whatever, screw it, I'm awake. Like, I'll just get up. And I had thought, I'll just go throw it in the dryer for 20 minutes and it'll be fine. But
yes.
Can't do that right now. So.
Yeah, that's another story.
Yeah.
For another time. But
so yeah, I wasn't gonna go sit in 20-degree weather with 25-mile-an-hour winds with cold clothes or wet clothes.
But you know what? I think it would have been a good morning.
I had a deer by my stand.
Did
Adele.
you? On the, yeah.
Which kind of sucks, but.
Yeah. I noticed this morning when I got up to make coffee that where your car was parked, I could see that there was snow on it. So at some point in time, it snowed a little bit anyway.
Oh, by the way, thanks for moving my car.
Oh.
I told Mom to wake me up and I'd do it, but.
Yeah, Mesa was on the way down to wake you up to do that. I said, just wait, I can move the car for it. So. Yeah, that's me being a good guy again. But,
yeah,
but
what a
no,
nice guy.
I'm an old nice guy evidently, and one that needs reading glasses to get my bifocals and trifocals
you
out.
did that to yourself.
Yeah, I do. So anyway, everyone, happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving.
We hope that
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. The Advent season leading up to Christmas is always one that I prefer it to be a white Christmas. Mesa, when anybody mentions snow, Mesa's favorite word is yuck, yuck, yuck.
I like snow. I just don't like it when it's cold. I don't like wind. I think that's a better.
I'm scratching my head here. I just don't. I like snow, but not when it's cold.
No, I hate the like
Catherine, it only
freezing,
snows
super cold, windy. I don't like wind. It could be 15 degrees and I'd be fine as long as it's not windy, which is an awful place to live because it's always windy here.
It's always windy here, yeah.
There's no such thing as a day without wind.
Well, I wonder if it's going to be like 2 years ago when we had over 60 inches of snow, or last year when we had like, less than 10, I think. So it's going to be interesting to see. But anyway, we digressed again. So
happy holidays, guys.
Happy holidays. Happy Thanksgiving.
Us.
Thanks for joining us and
listening to our ramble.
Yeah, well, hopefully it's one of those things that we should put a poll out there and see, if people like it more when I scratch my head of things that you say, or if you say things that make me cry. I don't know what people would like more to hear. So
a little bit of both.
A little controversy there. So anyway, okay.
As always, if you or someone you know is thinking of suicide or in need of crisis intervention, call the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline by dialing 988. You have to remember that the world is a better place with you in it. To all of our listeners, take some time to get outside, enjoy the outdoors, and experience its healing powers. With that, on behalf of Greg and me, until next time.